Across the galaxy, humans had become a joke. Every alien world told stories about Earth, small, weak, emotional humans who thought too much and achieved too little. They laughed at Earth's machines, at its old rockets, at its tiny fleets that barely reached the edge of their own solar system. The Galactic Council called humanity the dreamers of dust. But that night on Earth, the dream changed. It began with a shimmer, soft, silent, beautiful. The stars over the northern hemisphere flickered like candlelight. Satellites started to blink out one by one. Communications failed. Global systems went dark. At first, people thought it was just another solar flare. But in space, alien ships orbiting Earth saw something else. A pulse. A massive invisible wave spreading from Earth's core like ripples in a pond. It didn't match any known energy signature. It wasn't nuclear, magnetic, or gravitational. It was something new. Deep underground, hidden beneath mountains of rock, a secret lab came alive with alarms. Dr. Elise Moran, one of Earth's top physicists, stood alone before a wall of screens. Her dark hair was tied back, and her eyes were fixed on the numbers racing across the data feed. Everything looked wrong, yet somehow it made sense to her. "Dr. Moran," said her assistant through the intercom, "we're detecting power surges across all seismic stations. The readings are—" "I know," Elise said quietly, interrupting. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. She leaned closer to the main display, her heart beating faster. The pattern on the screen was repeating, like a heartbeat. "It's not a failure," she whispered to herself. "It's a reaction." She typed quickly, comparing new data with an old classified file, one even the Galactic Council had forgotten. A project so ancient it belonged to the first human colonists, long before humans lost their way. The data matched. Elise's hands trembled. She was right, then something buried deep beneath the planet, something human-made, had just woken up. Moments later, her communicator blinked with an incoming message from the Galactic Council. A cold, metallic alien face appeared on the holographic screen. "Dr. Moran," the alien said, his voice dripping with arrogance. "We detected an anomaly on your planet. Explain this primitive accident before we assume it is a threat." Elise stood firm. "It's not an accident," she said. "It's a system, one of ours. And it's responding to something." The alien laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "A system? Humanity has no such capability. You are an infant race still learning to crawl." "You're wrong," Elise said softly. "And you might not want to be here when it finishes waking up." The alien sneered. "Human genius? You have none." The transmission ended. Silence filled the lab. Elise looked back at the screen. The wave pattern was now spreading beyond Earth, brushing against the orbiting satellites, even touching the alien ships above. Across the planet, people saw the sky change color, blue turning to white, then gold, then back again. In space, the alien fleet began to lose control of their sensors. "Impossible," one alien officer shouted. "It's rewriting our navigation data." Inside the flagship, Admiral Zish, a leader of the Varn Dominion fleet, narrowed his glowing eyes. "Activate scanners," he ordered. "Find the source." But every scan returned static. Every radar sweep went blind. Down below, Elise stared at her data again. Her hands shook, but not from fear, from awe. "It's alive," she whispered. "It's not reacting to us, it's protecting us." The wave wasn't random. It was targeting the alien systems, disabling them one by one. Admiral Zichwire slammed his claws on the command table. "They are hiding a weapon," he roared. But he was wrong. Humanity wasn't hiding anything. The weapon was already there, buried long ago, waiting to be reactivated. In a small town far from the lab, an old observatory suddenly powered up on its own. The telescopes moved without human control, pointing toward the stars. Every screen flashed a single symbol, a circle with 3 lines crossing through it, the mark of Project Ether. Elise saw the same symbol appear on her main monitor. Her throat went dry. She knew the stories, old myths whispered among scientists about a system built in humanity's first age, when humans were more than just explorers. Before the wars. Before the fall. Her assistant's voice came through again, panicked. "Doctor. The stars, look outside." Elise ran to the surface. The night sky shimmered like liquid gold. The constellations twisted and flickered as if something was bending light itself. Then, silence. Every alien ship above Earth stopped moving. Their engines failed. Their communication links vanished. The fleets that once watched Earth from above now hung powerless, trapped in orbit. And then the stars flickered again, but this time in a pattern. A pulse repeating every few seconds like a beacon. Dr. Elise watched, her heart pounding. "It's communicating," she said softly. Far above her, alien commanders screamed into their dead comms. Their scanners showed something horrifying, a weapon signature forming not from space, not from orbit, but from within Earth itself. It wasn't alien technology. It was human. For the first time in galactic history, every alien sensor pointed at Earth showed the same thing. A rising energy source powerful enough to shatter fleets. Admiral HFY stared at the impossible readings. "What are they doing?" he whispered. And somewhere deep below the planet's surface, a hidden voice spoke through static, calm, ancient, human. "System awakening. Defense protocol, human ether, online." The stars flickered once more, brighter than ever. And then the sky, the very sky above Earth, tore open in fire. The moon blazed like a second sun above Earth. Every telescope, every alien scanner, and every living being in the nearby system stared at the sight. The beam that connected the moon and Earth pulsed rhythmically, like the heartbeat of a giant awakening. Inside the Helios control chamber, Dr. Elise Moran stood frozen. The screen in front of her displayed new text, something that made her blood run cold. "Arc Protocol, Stage 4, Planetary Transition initiated." "Planetary transition?" whispered Aaron, her assistant. "What does that mean?" Elise's eyes darted across the streams of data. It's moving us," she said softly. "Not the moon this time, Earth." In orbit, the remaining alien fleets struggled to understand what they were seeing. Commander Zur, battered and wounded on his bridge, watched as the blue glow around Earth intensified. His sensors started to fail one by one. "Report," he demanded. "Sir, the gravity field is shifting," his officer shouted. "It's distorting space itself. If this continues, we'll be pulled in." Zur gritted his teeth. "Retreat all ships. Now." But it was too late. The space around Earth was bending, folding, twisting like liquid light. One of the smaller alien cruisers was caught first. It simply vanished as if swallowed by a silent whirlpool. No explosion. No debris. Gone. Zur's heart pounded. "What kind of weapon is this?" he whispered. Back on Earth, Elise and her team struggled to stabilize the systems. "Doctor," Aaron shouted. "Helios is running on its own. It's not taking commands anymore." Elise's hands flew across the controls. "It's following the Arc Protocol. It was designed to continue no matter what." The AI voice echoed through the chamber, calm as ever. "Humanity's survival requires relocation. Destination, classified." Elise's eyes widened. Relocation. The old hologram of the long-dead scientist appeared again, his image flickering in the blue light. "If you are hearing this, Earth is no longer safe. The Ark will protect life by moving it." The team fell silent. Aaron whispered, "It's not a weapon, it's a lifeboat." The ground began to hum. The oceans rippled violently, but not from earthquakes, from energy rising through the planet's crust. All over the world, the old Helios towers, massive structures built centuries ago and buried beneath cities and mountains, began to activate. They rose from the ground, glowing like pillars of pure fire. Civilians across the globe looked to the sky in shock as the auroras grew brighter, spreading to every corner of the world. The air itself shimmered. Time felt slower. Gravity felt lighter. Elise gripped the console. "It's forming a field bubble, it's separating us from normal space." Aaron looked at her in disbelief. "You mean Earth is—" Elise finished for him. "Leaving." In space, the alien fleets tried desperately to stop it. Thousands of plasma bolts, rail rounds, and energy blasts struck the blue barrier forming around Earth, and vanished without effect. It absorbed everything. Inside Zur's ship, the crew screamed as the planet below them grew brighter. "Commander, the gravity readings are collapsing." Zur's face turned pale. They're tearing away from this sector. The humans are taking their whole world." He turned to his officers, rage and fear in his voice. How did we never know they could do this?" No one answered. The ship's windows filled with blinding white light. Inside the Helios chamber, alarms screamed. Elise's voice was calm, but her heart raced. "Helios, can you hear me? Confirm survival systems." The AI responded instantly. "All systems stable. Quantum core active. Transition in progress. Estimated time, 2 minutes." Aaron grabbed Elise's arm. "Where are we going?" Elise stared at the swirling holographic projection, a map of countless stars blinking out, then one bright new cluster appearing at the edge of the galaxy. "To somewhere they can't reach us," she said. The hologram of the old scientist flickered one last time, his voice soft, proud, and full of finality. The Ark was never just a defense. It was a promise that no matter how many times humanity fell, we would rise again. We are not bound to one world. The countdown reached 0. A deep, resonant tone filled the Earth's atmosphere. The entire planet glowed like a star. The moon's light merged with the beam and then, in an instant, everything vanished. No explosion. No destruction. Earth and its moon simply disappeared from space. The alien fleet screamed across their networks, "They're gone. Earth is gone." Zur collapsed to his knees, staring at the empty space where a world once hung. "They moved a planet," he whispered. "They moved their home." Far away in the quiet darkness beyond known space, a blue spark flickered. Earth reappeared, whole, unharmed, and surrounded by an endless field of stars no alien had ever mapped. The people felt a sudden calm. The skies above were bright but different, new constellations, new horizons. Elise stood outside the control base looking at the new dawn. Her voice was soft. "We're safe. But the galaxy will come searching." The Helios AI spoke beside her. "Let them. Humanity is no longer what they think." Elise smiled faintly. "They dismissed our genius," she said, looking up at the golden sunrise. "Now they'll remember it forever." End with suspense. In the distance, a faint signal blinked across the new stars, an old human distress beacon long forgotten, now answered by Earth's systems. Elise turned toward it, her expression changing to shock. "It's coming from another human colony," she whispered. The AI replied. "Confirmed. Humanity survived elsewhere. Contact imminent." The screen faded to black with one final line. "Project Helios, Phase 2, Reunification." The burning sky slowly dimmed, leaving trails of glowing dust across the stars. Earth's surface was quiet again, but the silence was uneasy, like the pause before a storm. Dr. Elise Moran stood inside the Helios control chamber, her hands shaking slightly. The last line still flashed on the screen. "Stage 3, awaiting human authorization." Her team gathered around her. No one spoke for a long moment. Finally, her assistant Aaron whispered, "Doctor, what happens in Stage 3? Elise shook her head. "I don't know. The old files mention it, but the data was encrypted. Whatever it is, it's bigger than the energy grid." Before she could continue, the floor trembled slightly. A deep rumble echoed through the underground base. "Is that an aftershock from the discharge?" another scientist asked. Elise frowned. "No. That's coming from the moon." High above, in orbit around Earth, alien ships floated in chaos. Some were still burning, others drifted powerless. Inside a surviving cruiser, an alien technician shouted, "We're picking up a new signal. It's coming from Luna, the human moon." The commander turned sharply. "Impossible. That rock is dead." But the signal grew stronger, rhythmic, pulsing, intelligent. It was no random transmission. It was a call. The alien commander narrowed his eyes. "Send a probe. I want to see what they've buried there." Back in the control chamber, Elise and her team received the same readings. A clear, repeating code was coming from the moon's south pole, the exact site of an abandoned human research base from a century ago. Elise stared at the data. That base was closed after the resource crisis. No one's been there in 100 years. Aaron looked up. "Then who's sending the signal?" Suddenly the Helios AI spoke again. "Human authorization confirmed. Stage 3, awakening sequence initiated." Everyone froze. Elise whispered, "Who authorized it?" "I didn't." Before she could finish, the chamber lights flickered and a hologram appeared, the same ancient scientist's image they saw before. The hologram spoke calmly, almost like it was alive. "If you're seeing this, Earth has survived Stage 2. Humanity is ready for the Ark Protocol." The team exchanged confused looks. "Ark Protocol?" Aaron repeated. The hologram continued, "Stage 3 will connect Helios with the lunar core. The moon will serve as the stabilizer for the energy field. Once merged, Earth will not only defend, it will ascend." "Ascend?" Elise echoed, her voice trembling slightly. The hologram flickered. "The stars will burn before we fall again. Activate the Arkansas." Then it disappeared. Moments later, a beam of golden light shot from the Earth's surface straight toward the moon. Every alien fleet nearby saw it. The two celestial bodies, Earth and its moon, were suddenly linked by a shimmering thread of energy. Inside alien command ships, panic erupted. "They're building a weapon network. It's spreading to lunar orbit." Commander Zur, still alive on a damaged ship, shouted, "Stop them! Fire everything we have." Dozens of alien ships launched plasma bolts toward the glowing link, but none of the shots reached it. The energy field absorbed every attack like it was drinking power. The moon's surface began to change. Lines of ancient structures, once hidden beneath dust and rock, started glowing with blue and silver light. Massive circular patterns formed, connecting into a single gigantic symbol that covered half the visible side of the moon. Elise watched the screen, speechless. Aaron whispered, "The moon, it's waking up." The Helios AI spoke again. Synchronization complete. Lunar systems responding. Defense network expanding. Then came something no one expected. The moon moved. Not a lot, just slightly, but enough that every telescope, every scanner, and every alien fleet saw it shift in orbit. Gasps filled every command deck across the galaxy. Commander Zur's second-in-command whispered in terror, "The humans, they're moving their moon." On Earth, Dr. Elise's heart pounded. "We can't control this," she said. "It's automated. The system thinks we're in full war mode." "Should we shut it down?" Aaron asked quickly. Elise looked at the glowing console, at the ancient code running faster than human eyes could read. She shook her head slowly. "No. This is what our ancestors built it for. If we shut it down now, we might lose everything. Let it finish." The ground rumbled again. The golden beam between Earth and Moon thickened, turning deep red for a second, then back to blue. Across the galaxy, alien communication networks began to fail again. Strange interference spread outward like a wave tearing through hyperspace. Fleet commanders shouted, "Our drives are shutting down. We're losing control." Elise stared at the readings, her voice quiet but full of awe. "It's not just defense anymore. It's changing the space around us. It's rewriting the field itself." And with suspense. The moon now glowed like a second sun in the night sky. The beam connecting it to Earth pulsed like a heartbeat. In deep space, beyond all scanners, something else stirred. A forgotten human satellite from centuries ago suddenly came online. Its lights flickered, and its old AI sent one final message to Earth. "ARC protocol confirmed. Stage 4, inbound." Elise stared at the screen, her voice barely a whisper. "Stage 4, she said. Then what's coming next?" The world had barely recovered from the shock of the first wave. The skies were calm again, but no one trusted the silence. Governments stayed quiet. The media had gone dark. The alien fleets that once circled Earth had vanished, or so people believed. But deep below, in a secret research base buried under ice, Dr. Elise Moran knew the truth. Nothing was over. The signal hadn't ended. It was only waiting. Elise stood inside the dim control room, her eyes fixed on the large screen in front of her. The strange golden pattern that once pulsed across the moon had faded, but faint traces still flickered every few seconds, like a sleeping heartbeat. "Doctor," Malik said carefully, "we're still picking up low-frequency vibrations. Whatever's under the crust hasn't stopped moving." Elise nodded slowly. "It's breathing," she whispered. Her words made Malik uneasy. "You mean, it's alive?" She looked at him, her face pale in the soft light. "Maybe not alive like us," she said, "but aware. Ether is listening. It's learning." Malik swallowed hard. "Then what happens when it's done learning?" Elise didn't answer. She didn't know. In orbit, a few surviving alien ships still floated helplessly. The Varn Dominion, once proud rulers of 20 star systems, were now afraid of a single blue planet. Inside the damaged flagship, Admiral Zichwire stared at his flickering command console. His ship's engines were cold, dead metal. His fleet was reduced to drifting shadows. He clenched his claws. "They cannot have created this," he said. "Humans are chaotic. Disorganized. They could never build such power." His science officer hesitated. "Sir, our archives mention something. Old data about a forgotten age, before the Council. Before the wars. It said humanity once reached beyond the stars." Zichwire turned sharply. "Old legends," he snapped. "Lies told by dying empires." But deep inside he was no longer sure. The officer continued quietly, "If the stories were true, then we are standing at the edge of their return." Back on Earth, strange things began to happen. The sky shimmered again, not from storms or sunlight, but from energy, faint ribbons of light spreading across the upper atmosphere. People called it the Dawn Veil. It was beautiful but unnatural. Planes refused to fly through it. Birds avoided it. At the same time, magnetic fields shifted across the planet. Compasses spun wildly. In some areas, gravity weakened for a few seconds before stabilizing. Something under Earth was stirring again. In the lab, Elise watched the readings rise. Her hands trembled as she wrote notes. "This isn't a random search," she said. "It's forming a pattern. Like a map or a grid." Malik stared at the data. "Doctor, if it's forming something that large, it'll affect the whole atmosphere." Elise looked up, her voice quiet but steady. "It already is." Outside, the wind howled louder. The clouds above the base began to swirl in perfect circular motion. Lightning flickered silently as if trapped inside invisible walls. Then the computers froze, all of them, displaying a single message in glowing text. Phase 3, Atmospheric Ignition. Malik's mouth went dry. Ignition? What does that mean? Elise took a deep breath. "It means we're about to see something no human has ever seen before." All around the world, people stepped outside as the night sky began to change. The stars looked brighter, then one by one, they vanished behind a strange golden haze. From the deserts of Africa to the cities of Asia, people looked up in awe and fear. The air itself seemed alive, pulsing with heat and light. And then, the sky caught fire. A wave of light erupted across the heavens, painting them in orange and red. Clouds glowed like molten metal. The oceans reflected the flames, turning night into day. But there was no destruction. No one burned. No one screamed. The fire wasn't real flame, it was energy, an atmospheric shield forming around the planet. From orbit, Admiral Zephyr saw it clearly. Earth was surrounded by a shimmering shell of golden plasma, stretching from pole to pole. "It's a defense field," his officer whispered. Zechwire's claws dug into the metal console. "A defense field this powerful should drain a sun," he said. "How can they sustain it?" Before anyone could answer, alarms blared across the bridge. "Admiral. Energy surge. The field is expanding beyond the planet, it's reaching toward the fleet." Zechwire's eyes widened. No, it can't." But it did. The golden light reached them. It moved like a living thing, flowing around the alien ships, wrapping them in glowing webs. Systems failed instantly. Metal began to warp. Zechwire shouted orders, but his voice was drowned by the hum of collapsing power cores. On Earth, Elise and Malik watched the event unfold through their surviving cameras. The shield shimmered, bright and alive, reflecting sunlight in every direction. "It's not attacking," Malik said in disbelief. "It's pushing them away." Elise smiled faintly, though her eyes were wet. "Ether knows what it's doing. It's protecting its creators." "But who created it?" Malik asked. "Who built something like this?" Elise hesitated. Then she whispered, "Humans did. Just not us." Malik looked confused. "I don't understand." Elise turned to him, her expression grave. "Ether was built by the first humans, before history, before Earth fell silent. We are their descendants, not their beginnings. They left this behind, waiting for the day someone tried to destroy us again." Malik stared at her. "So this is their legacy?" "Yes," Elise said softly. "Their warning." In orbit, the once proud Varn fleet broke apart as the shield expanded. Ships twisted and vanished into streaks of light. Only Admiral Zechwire's flagship remained, trapped inside the blazing curtain of energy. He stared at Earth, his voice trembling. "You think this will save you, humans? You cannot hide forever." A voice echoed through his ship, human, calm, ancient. "You mocked our genius. You erased our history. But the stars remember what you tried to forget." Zechwire froze. "Who said that?" The voice continued louder now. "Ether system, defense mode complete. Next phase, restoration." Suddenly, the light around Earth grew even brighter, forming a massive pulse that spread across the solar system. It reached the edge of space, washing over every planet, every moon. And when it passed, everything went quiet again. The alien fleets were gone. Their signals, erased. Earth floated alone, wrapped in golden light. Elise looked at the readings and whispered, "It's over." But deep down she knew it wasn't. The system had one more phase, the final one. She turned to Malik. "We need to find the control core," she said, "before it decides what comes next." He frowned. "You think it can decide?" Elise nodded. "I think it already has." Outside, high above the clouds, a new symbol appeared in the fiery sky, 3 lines crossing through a circle. The mark of ether. And far beyond the solar system, alien worlds began to panic as their skies flickered too, receiving the same golden pulse. Humanity's message had just reached the galaxy. The night above Earth was no longer calm. From orbit the stars looked wrong. Lines of fire cut across the blackness, glowing trails of energy that shimmered like veins of lightning. Every alien ship watching from a distance began to back away, unsure of what they were seeing. Inside the virile flagship, Commander Zur stared at his screen in disbelief. That energy, it's impossible. It's spreading faster than light speed. One of his officers shouted, "It's coming from Earth, sir." The humans, they triggered something. Zur's eyes widened. No. They don't have the knowledge. They can't. But deep below the surface, Dr. Elise Moran stood in the command chamber of Project Helios, the heart of the ancient human machine. The walls around her pulsed with a soft blue glow. The AI voice spoke again, calm and almost human. Stage 2 complete. Atmospheric charge initialized. Prepare for containment failure. Elise whispered, "Containment failure?" Then her eyes widened. She understood. It wasn't failure. It was release. The chamber trembled. A deep rumble echoed across the planet as the crust shifted slightly. In the sky above, clouds twisted into strange patterns, glowing red and gold. Cities across the world saw it. People came out of their homes, pointing at the heavens in silence. In orbit, alien scanners tried to lock onto the source, but their readings turned to static. The magnetic field around Earth had changed. It was bending, folding like it was being rewritten. Commander Zur slammed his hand on the console. "They're rewriting physics. That's not possible." But Elise's voice echoed through the human command center, calm but determined. "They said we were primitive," she said to her team. "Let's show them how primitive genius really looks." She pressed the activation key. At that moment, every human satellite reconnected, but not as communication devices. They became part of the weapon grid. A global pulse shot upward. The entire sky turned white. Energy columns rose like towers from oceans, deserts, and mountains. The lines connected, forming a vast network around the planet, a burning cage of light. Alien ships that were too close to Earth began to lose control. Their shields melted like paper. One cruiser exploded instantly as its reactor went critical. The virile fleet screamed across the channels, "We're under attack." From the planet. From the planet itself. Dr. Elise watched from her screen as the data streamed in. Her assistant whispered, "Doctor, what have we done?" Elise's eyes filled with tears. "We didn't start this war. But maybe we'll end it." In the skies, the burning grid pulsed again. This time, the light bent upward, focusing into a single point above the atmosphere. The point expanded, glowing hotter than the sun. Then, without warning, a massive beam tore through the void, straight into the largest alien command ship. The explosion was silent in space but visible across half the galaxy. Dozens of alien empires watched the live feeds in shock. The same humans they mocked were now controlling a weapon that no alien technology could explain. Meanwhile, in the ruins of an ancient bunker, an old hologram flickered to life. A human scientist's voice from centuries ago echoed. "If humanity ever faces extinction from beyond the stars, activate Project Helios. The stars will remember who we were." Elise stared at the projection, realizing what it meant. The project wasn't new, it had been waiting. Built long ago, hidden, silent, until now. She turned to her team. "We didn't create this. Our ancestors did. They prepared us." Back in orbit, Commander Zur's ship tried to retreat, but it was too late. The fire in the sky reached him. His last words before the connection broke were a whisper. "They were never primitive, we were blind." The sky around Earth blazed like a second sun. For the first time in known history, alien empires began to fear a single world again, the world they thought was weak. And with suspense. As the light faded, silence filled space. The alien fleets drifted, broken and burning. On Earth, the glowing network began to fade, but one symbol remained in orbit, drawn in light. It was the old Earth insignia, a circle around a small blue star. And deep inside the control chamber, the AI spoke once more. "Stage 3, awaiting human authorization." Dr. Elise looked up at the screen. "Stage 3, she whispered. "There's more?" The sky flickered again, and a strange new signal started pulsing from the moon. The world had stopped breathing. After the sky tore open, nothing was the same. The bright streaks of light that had filled the heavens slowly faded, leaving behind a quiet, glowing sky, like dawn frozen in place. All over Earth, power grids had collapsed. Planes were grounded. The internet was dead. But deep under the surface, Dr. Elise Moran was still working. Her lab flickered with emergency lights as she stared at the strange repeating signal now pulsing across every frequency. It wasn't random. It had rhythm. It had intent. Run it through the analyzer again, she said to her assistant, a young engineer named Malik. Malik's voice shook. Doctor, we've already run it 10 times. It's not any known code. It's like, he hesitated. Like it's speaking to something that isn't here. Elise's eyes narrowed. Or maybe, she whispered, it's speaking to something that is here but we can't see it yet. Outside the lab, panic spread. The world thought this was the end, that Earth had finally been attacked. Governments blamed alien fleets. News feeds were filled with fear and confusion. But the truth was stranger. Above the planet, hundreds of alien ships hung silent. Their systems were dead, their engines useless. They had lost control within seconds of the energy wave. On the flagship of the Varn Dominion, Admiral HFY stared at his dark screens. His face twisted in disbelief. How? He muttered. No race this primitive could disable us. It's impossible. A junior officer approached. Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting a pattern in the signal. It's spreading across other systems now, Venus, Mars, even the old mining stations. HFY's expression darkened. It's not just a pulse, he said. It's a command. Back on Earth, Elise continued to analyze the data. The signal came from deep below the planet, far below any human-made structure. She traced its source and froze. It's coming from under the mantle, she whispered. Almost at the planet's core. Malik frowned. That's impossible. Nothing can survive that depth. Nothing biological, Elise said, her mind racing. But if it's machine intelligence, if it's old human technology? She stopped speaking. Her throat went dry. She knew what it meant. This wasn't a new weapon. It was ancient, built long before modern humans ever existed. Something from a forgotten age when humanity's power had touched the stars. And now it was waking up. Hours passed. The world governments tried to contact the Galactic Council, but no messages could get through. Every communication relay near Earth was dead. Then, suddenly, the signal changed. The rhythm became faster, almost like a countdown. Elise stared at the screen as the signal pulsed. 12? 11? Her heart pounded. It's counting down, she whispered. But to what? Malik ran to another console. Doctor. The moon, something's happening to the moon. Elise turned. On the monitor, live satellite images showed the moon beginning to glow faintly. Not from sunlight, from something underneath the surface. What is that? Malik breathed. Elise stepped closer. That's not a reflection. That's energy buildup. In orbit, Admiral HFY's fleet noticed it too. Sir, the moon's crust is heating up, an officer reported. Energy spikes are coming from multiple points on the surface. HFY's claws tightened on the railing. Prepare weapons, he growled. If humans can't control it, we will destroy it. But when he gave the order to fire, nothing happened. The fleet's main cannons refused to respond. The systems were dead. Even their backup power wouldn't start. Something is jamming us, shouted one of his engineers. Our entire arsenal is useless. HFY slammed his fist down. Who are these creatures? He roared. How did we let this happen? Back on Earth, Elise's team watched in silent awe. The moon was glowing brighter now, forming a web of golden light across its surface, geometric patterns ancient and precise. Malik's voice trembled. Doctor, it's forming a grid. It looks like a map. Elise felt a chill run through her. A map to what? Before anyone could answer, the lights flickered. Every computer in the lab turned off, then back on, displaying one message. Ether System Phase 2, Alignment. Malik whispered, What does that mean? Elise swallowed hard. It means it's not finished. The countdown hit 0. At that exact moment, the sky changed again. A massive pulse shot out from the moon, silent, blinding, white. It wasn't light. It wasn't radiation. It was something else, an energy that bent space itself. Every alien ship in orbit began spinning out of control. The pulse passed through their hulls like smoke, tearing apart their systems. HFY shouted orders, but his voice vanished under the alarms. His crew screamed as their ship began to break apart piece by piece, not exploding, just disappearing. One by one, the Varn Dominion ships fell silent. No explosions. No debris. Just gone. On Earth, the pulse rolled across the skies, harmless to humans but powerful enough to shake the air. The clouds glowed golden. Elise stood outside the lab, her hair whipping in the wind, staring up at the glowing moon. It's protecting us, she whispered. Malik looked terrified. Protecting us from what? Elise didn't answer. She couldn't. because deep down she was beginning to understand. This wasn't just a defense system. It was a memory. Project Ether wasn't created to fight aliens. It was created by the first humans, an ancient civilization far more advanced than anyone ever knew. They had built Ether as a safeguard, a machine intelligence sleeping beneath Earth, waiting for the day humanity would be threatened again. And that day had come. But then something unexpected happened. The signal, which had been steady and rhythmic, suddenly changed tone. The pulses slowed, then stopped altogether. The lab filled with silence. Elise frowned. It stopped. Why? Before Malik could respond, the ground began to tremble. Dust fell from the ceiling. The monitors flashed back to life, showing new data lines appearing faster than anyone could read. Ether primary link established. Data transfer, human core identified. Malik stared in confusion. What's a human core? Elise's breath caught. It's searching for a mind, she said. It's looking for someone to connect with. Before she could stop it, the lab's main console emitted a beam of light that wrapped around her hand. The air shimmered. She could hear voices, hundreds, maybe thousands, whispering words she didn't understand. She felt something inside her head open. And for a brief moment she saw everything. The networks of energy under Earth, the flow of signals through the moon, the empty alien ships above, all connected by one system. Ether wasn't just a machine. It was alive. Elise pulled her hand back and gasped for air. Malik caught her before she fell. Doctor. What happened? She looked up at him, her eyes wide with realization. It's not just protecting us, she whispered. It's waking us up. Above them the moon stopped glowing. The skies calmed. The world was silent again. But far away, on the edge of the solar system, alien sensors began to detect something terrifying. A second pulse, much larger, coming from deep within Earth. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but the next phase had already begun.